What's up there? So it's gonna be another story time, and this story time is gonna be about passwords. And I feel like when I'm gonna be talking about passwords, it can be a simply relative decent subject to talk about. And a lot of people can feel like, oh man, making a password, oh, that's like the easiest thing on earth. Well, not exactly. It can be, but the way you go about your passwords needs to be better. So if you're going to be thinking about your passwords, honestly, I swear to God, don't make your password for whatever you use be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't make it number sequences. Don't use something that's relative to, maybe a birthday or, even a social security number. Like whatever the crazy nonsense it is. I'm gonna talk about how to be creative about making your passwords. For me, when it comes down to making passwords, um, I'm at a point now where it's honestly pretty simple. If you've ever used Bitcoin, or you've gotten to that point where you're going to get on a platform that they help you, like, say, yo, this is your password, you can either change it or not change it. Um, and the password that generally, the rule of thumb for what you may want to do is you want to think about something that's easy to remember but isn't too difficult to really, do work with. So, if you've ever heard about a language at one point that was on the internet, it's called LeetSpeak. So, the word of how it's spelling is, it's supposed to be Leet and then speak, basically, but the E's are turned to threes within the word leet speak. Sometimes the S in speak is like a five. You try to find combinations of like numbers and symbols, and you try to kind of um, muck up how the alphabet is with numbers and little symbols, basically. So if you're gonna do like an A sign, you're gonna do like an at for a lowercase a, and things like that. You play around with crazy things like that. If you're gonna do an O, you can do like a zero. If you are really dealing with a platform where, if your storage of that password isn't proper, then like you could actually end up with a zero looking like an O in some cases, like a capitalized O, which is kind of annoying. So you got to look out for things like that sometimes. L's can be like a one. If it comes down to like an I, it can be like an explanation point and things like that. So whenever it comes down to things like this, and I'm making passwords for an example, if you were to make a password for Facebook and you were gonna want to make a pretty strong password, you could make something super simple where you could maybe put your name. Let's say this name is gonna be like a Sarah or something. Then you could put Sarah, social media, and then some numbers at the end if you wanted. Or if you got like a cool iPhone, or you have a nice Android phone, or you have a name of a brand of something, you could be like Sarah Social Media Samsung, for that platform that you're using that password on. You may want to use that name within it. But then remember, we're using LeetSpeak. So you can change out like the S in Sarah for, it could be a dollar sign, it could be a number five. If you're gonna do like an A or something, you could use the at sign. If you're gonna do, I don't know of any symbol for like an H. And for every word that you're using, and it's gonna be Sarah, social media, whatever else, you can use a period, a hyphen, a type of symbol that is gonna divide that word or something. And then when it comes down to it, um, when you're doing like when you're making up this password, make it be like a sentence maybe. Think of something that you're thinking of that's in the moment that's near you. So you could, be at like a Starbucks maybe at one point. You could be at like sitting in the comfy chair with a nice smelling coffee or something. You could, make it a brand of a coffee at a Starbucks that while you're sitting in their comfy chairs that you could make that be your password, make it be like a sentence or something, and then cover it up with leak speak or, break down what that word would be on a number dial pad or something. So if you're gonna do like a T8 type of, you gotta press like the one key multiple times to be able to get to C, then you could be like, you could really get pretty cryptic with your password. Like you could just play around with it so much. Or you could look at the numeric alphabet or something, and then let's say you wanted the word Sarah, but then you would slap out, you could make up like your own like decoder for things. So you could literally change the position of things where like A would be like a Z and then B would be like an X or something, and you would kind of flip the table of what those letters would be and things like that. It would be really crazy like that to do, and everything like that. When it came down to it, 9 would be like a 1, things like that. So you could completely flip the tables on everything for your decoder of what you'd want your password to be, but it still be like a sentence when you did it and everything that you would know it by. And you could really get really crafty with your passwords. Now, sometimes people can be kind of lazy with some of these things, and so when it comes down to it, and you're going to be doing these things, always write them down. Use a good password manager. Don't use a password manager that's online. I hate these companies that are online, LastPass, Dashlane, to name a few. Those are the two that I know of. There could be some other ones that I can't necessarily think about, but sometimes there will even be password managers that will come with antivirus programs if you even use those. I know like Kaspersky might have a password manager. I think at one point there was something called Tunnel Bear that was like it had a password manager at one point, I think. But at one point when I was using it, every single time I upgraded to a new version of it, they would change the program so drastically that I would keep losing my old passwords and they wouldn't transport over. So I quit using it. And I didn't like that. Their implementation was good, and the way they did passwords was good. I didn't like it. One of the only password managers that I have actually used for 5+ years or even longer is called NPass. Their domain for their website is like npass.io or something. It's really quirky. But if you just look up NPass, EN, and then pass, their system of password management is beautiful. I love it. It's a password manager that is local on your system. And with it being local on your system, it just uses like a Google Drive or a Dropbox to sync what the wallet file is, and that's it. It doesn't do any funny business. It doesn't store your information in the cloud for other people to see. It's heavily encrypted with that local file and everything. And so for me, I like that. And so when I found it on the App Store, I downloaded it, had it, and I was using Google's opinion rewards at the time, and so I was able to earn like about $5 on a Google opinion rewards, and I upgraded to getting their app for like it was like a lifetime upgrade for pro for like $2 or $2.99 or something really cheap, and I'm like, that's amazing. And now if you try to get end passes, lifetime program, it's like now like $60. But honestly, for me using it like I have for the past 5 years, oh my God, I absolutely love the program. It's so beautiful in the way that it is, and I don't ever have to worry about it. And it syncs on my phone, it syncs everywhere, and I like that type of a system. It makes you passwords, it lets you know when you need to update and change your passwords so they're not out of date, all that good stuff. Like, I love it, and it's literally helped me like save all of my like 500 plus passwords that I have. It could be for an account that I made like 3 years ago that I don't even use, and I go randomly log into it, and the password and everything that it has on me, it still remembers all of it. So that's something that I believe in and that I use. I don't feel that people should be using all these, you know, passwords on the cloud type of programs, because they can get hijacked and hacked, and then it's like, oh fuck, let me go change like, all 300 of my accounts, to go change all the passwords and everything. And it's a super annoying, tedious process, and I don't ever want to have to go through that. So I don't use those programs. I don't like them. They're too annoying. They're too um sometimes I feel their implementation of them just trying to go and be everywhere and market themselves and say, hey, use this, it's the best thing ever, we're never gonna get hacked. And then, oh, whoopsie doo, that one day comes and they all get fucking hacked, and then everybody's shit's leaked. Oh fuck, what are you gonna do? So you gotta kind of be in tune with knowing what's out there and what you want to use, and use it correctly, and feel like, shit, this is actually pretty decently and proper and good. And so, same thing for me discovering Discord. I first got on Discord when it was just an Android app, and then they expanded it to everywhere else. And so, I knew about Discord within the first 3 to 4 months, just it being on the Google Play Store, which is like really cool. So I've known about Discord ever since Discord has been a thing now, and people don't really use Skype anymore, obviously. But Discord is really cool. I like that program too. But yeah, I just wanted to share how passwords are, what you should be using, what type of programs, how should you structure it. And for me, I ended up coming up with like at least a good 20 character type of password. Some places I'll make such a strong password that it will actually break some websites, or it will be like, oh, don't put symbols in your password. What the fuck? I can't put symbols in my password. Or sometimes they'll be like, like everywhere on whatever website it is, sometimes the password methods for saving them, oh yeah, don't make a password longer than 12 characters. The frick you mean? My password's 20 characters. Why do you mean there's a limit on how many letters I can put? Um, which that shouldn't ever be a problem. I should be able to have a password as long as I want it to be. That's just gonna ultimately make me more secure than all the other users, and whatever that is. So that's what happens when you get down to passwords and everything. Honestly, the longer the password, the longer it would take for somebody to crack it. So my average password length is anywhere from 16 to like 20 characters, which is pretty good when it comes down to it. For some of the more common services, maybe you can be lenient and make them a little bit shorter. But also too, if you also, for your more common services, make them like at least 9 characters, but then just make it a random slew of characters and not it be any sort of like actual meaning. Like, use dollar signs, use commas, parentheses, brackets, whatever the frick you want to use, commas, periods, whatever, numbers and no letters, then that would be really outlandish, and things like that. So you can try doing that too, with things. So there's a lot of things like that, and that could possibly keep you be a little bit more secure, because maybe password crackers could be looking for letters and numbers being used. But if you use a lot more symbols than you do, actual strings of characters like ABC or whatever else may be, then it might be easier for you to like remember it in a way, and then it'd be harder for elsewhere. So that's just another thought too. So when it comes down to your passwords, think about what I've said and use that. Even when it comes down to it too, if you're really gonna want to have something secured these days, I've even heard that not even two-factor authentication is even safe. So because you can like literally, what I've heard, you can literally hijack somebody's cell phone number for a short amount of time without the carrier even knowing, and being able to duplicate messages and content and send random phantom messages to people that you didn't even type yourself or anything, or even have your cell phone on, and they could be anywhere in the world to some degree. So when it comes down to it, if you're gonna have two-factor authentication, also to use Google authentication if you're able to use it. Like you want to have like your password, two-way authentication, and then like a Google authentication code that's generated every 20 seconds that you have to then type in, that's generated, that they give you within that slice of time to then put in and use. So there's a lot of different things when it comes down to it that you want to think about. They even have like hardware keys that you can use that are like USB sticks that you can use, that's like a physical like button and maybe thumbprint and everything else like that too. So when it comes down to it, security isn't ever like, it's okay, but to some degree there's always going to be a loophole. You could literally have the biggest, strongest door but the weakest lock, and that lock being super weak is gonna be the weak link in your big door. You could have a weak ass door and a super strong lock, and if your door can't withhold somebody slamming their whole body into it, then that's not security either. So you want to think about things like that. So that's kind of what I got on the topics of passwords. Hopefully the story time is pretty decent. It's a pretty decent length, honestly, but when it comes down to it, passwords, you're really at a point where you want to be using fingerprints, you want to be using your face. There should honestly be like a mini game with your fingerprint and your face, and moving your GPS of your phone in a way and around in a certain pattern or whatever it is too, so you can move your phone like a fish or something, and being able to unlock your phone that way, and things like that. So or you do a particular action, like you hold your phone like you would hold a gun or something. You could hold your phone like you're gonna like be driving a car. You could hold your phone like you're petting a cat. Whatever the case may be, like you could use motion in your phone to like unlock something. That would be honestly pretty dope. I'd love to see something like that. So yeah, that's what it comes down to when I'm thinking about these things, when it comes about with passwords, because like there's only so much you can do. So hopefully my analogy and my thought process with a lot of this and what it comes down to with passwords makes some sense to somebody, and maybe you're gonna have stronger passwords after listening to this. But that's what I got for right now, and hopefully this has been decently informative, that you feel intrigued to just have better passwords.